While working on Crystal's Wrath, one thing we were curious about attempting was trying to design our own crate. One that never existed in any canon Crash games, just to add our own original flair. It seemed straightforward enough, just make a box and make it do something. But actually having it be something different and integrating it well with the gameplay is more complicated than you'd think. We tossed around a handful of ideas, but one of the only few that we actually moved semi-forward with, we called the Switchtro Crate. And the main idea behind it is the crate would show a number on it, 1, 2, or 3. This number would represent how many times Crash could bounce off this crate. Every time he bounced on it, the number would decrement by 1. If there were only a 1 remaining and you were to bounce on it, the crate would switch to a Nitro. Hence the Switchtro name. And the reasoning behind this is you would have a crate that you could only use a certain number of times before it becomes unusable, and potentially deadly. And what was most appealing about this idea is it didn't require any new assets to be made. We already had the 1, 2, and 3 numbers from the TNT crate, and the color variation was just a hue shift added in the material. It sounded interesting enough, but there's actually kind of a design flaw with this, and that's if you were to accidentally turn a crate that you needed into a Nitro, you wouldn't be able to finish the puzzle, unless you were to kill yourself in order to reset it. So for that reason, it was mainly only going to be used on side path puzzles and nothing necessarily critical path. But it didn't take very long for us to notice it was sorta just a regular crate. And by that I mean, if you were to bounce off of any old crate and the crate breaks, the crate's already unusable. You can't bounce again. Changing to a Nitro is just sort of a graphical thing and didn't really change the gameplay question the crates normally ask. Obviously, if you see a Nitro there, you're not gonna try to jump to it, so why not just have a more conventional crate that breaks? So we rethought the Switchtro puzzles, and tried to redesign them around utilizing the Switchtro in a way that made more sense, without changing the inherent functionality of the Switchtro. And one of the puzzle styles we found that worked surprisingly well with these is Nitro chaining. While the Switchtro is in its normal state, displaying a number, it's not explosive. It only is once it becomes a Nitro. So the idea would be you'd have a TNT somewhere, and somewhere else you'd have something that needs to be exploded. And in between you'd have a series of Switchtros set to different bounce allowances. Completely turning the initial Switchtro concept on its head, now the idea is to intentionally turn them into Nitros so you could bring the explosive chain where you want it. These do make for pretty interesting puzzles, if I'm being honest, but the problem is there's just not that many different setups that don't all feel kinda the same. Not to mention the big glaring problem that you could basically just come to these puzzles with an Aku Aku and cheat them. This is why Twinsanity made Aku Aku useless to Nitros, and we sure as shit don't want to go that route. That sort of a solution is kind of like trying to prevent pregnancy by cutting your own dick off. Either way, the Switchtro concept is mostly on hold right now. We're not sure if we want to redesign the puzzles or rework the whole concept from the ground up or just scrap it. One thing I thought that might be kind of interesting is maybe rather than them turning into normal Nitros, they turn into big Nitros to pay homage to Rip Rue's big TNTs. And maybe Aku wouldn't be able to protect you from the big Nitros. That way we have the benefit of making the puzzles not that easy to cheat without fucking up Nitros everywhere else in the game. God damn it, Twinsanity. Anyway, I thought it was kind of an interesting game design thought experiment. What do you guys think? Does the Switchtro sound like a cool idea, or is it just stupid? Or do you have an idea how to make it better? Let us know in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. You can head on over to patreon.com/PatStrikesBack if you want to toss us a couple bucks to get some videos out sooner. I know it's been kind of slow with that lately. YouTube's been kind of jacking us around with this whole monetization crap, and you gotta have so many view hour minutes. And they're like, oh, we'll get you your monetization by the end of April. And then like, oh, we'll get you your monetization by the end of May. And they're like, oh, well, we'll get you your monetization by the end of June. And would you believe it? They finally did it. But in the meantime, we've been working on a handful of stuff, so more new crap to show soon. So yeah, thank you. Goodbye.